for those who haven't seen this in the past, because we do see some new people in the chat, we really appreciate that. We appreciate the support. This is a segment called Ask an Executive. We're about to close out the podcast with this, where feel free in the chat to come on, ask us a question. Could be on topic, could be off topic. It's an opportunity to ask two executives with over 65 years experience in the NYPD, over 40 plus years as executives, and questions that you feel you never had the access in order to ask. Now, I put out last week, Rob and I started up a new email address and an X account. So it's at Exec Perspective on X and the Executive Perspective at gmail.com, where you could send in some questions ahead of time off the when we're not on the air. So I do have, let me bring it up on my phone. I do have one question that came in via email. And it's from, we'll say Beckham. And he's a city employee that's non-MOS, non-NYPD. And he has a question. Basically, the question is, during Ramadan and EID, which is the end of the fast, I believe, after Ramadan, my MOS family members and friends take off from work usually, and that's all good and well. But there are many times when they had off on Christmas. That's cool because it was their RDOs. My thing is there any way that they can be a system or something where for the big holidays, can someone volunteer to work so their blue brothers and sisters can have off for their holidays when it doesn't fall on their RDOs? And he goes on a little bit further, but basically he's asking, is there a way that somebody could work for each other? And actually there is a method in place where you could do a mutual with somebody. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it has to be within that pay period. So within that pay period, I can work for Rob if I'm in the same rank. I can work for Rob. If Rob needs off Tuesday this week, I can work for him another day during that pay period, and we could swap. So it's within the same pay period. What we used to do all the time also was, for the holidays, like for Christmas and whatnot, the Jewish members would work for Christmas, and we try to give off the Jewish members on the Jewish holidays and so forth. So that's just prioritizing who's going to get off, who's not on annual vacation, who's not RDO, when you're going to give, what's called the discretionary excusals. But in order for somebody to work for each other, there is a policy in place. Could it be tightened up? Could it be expanded? I'm sure it could be. Rob, you have anything on that one?
No, same thing. I mean, I oftentimes guy in the command or whether I was in or special operations, we would swap, RDOs or whatever, and then the one guy have an RDO and the other guy would come in and work for him, and then the other guy would come in on the other guy's RDO. Obviously, without, with me was no cash, no overtime, absolutely not. But it was a nice thing that each guy did for each other. And definitely allowable. Definitely something that's that is done. I don't know if it's still done, but it's a fair thing. It's a
lot of people don't even know about it, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
So that's a good thing that Beckham, you're asking. And again, it's a platform where people are hearing things maybe for the first time. Yeah. You want to take this one from JM?
Yeah, which I was going to go with. Is that before XC from at 7:22 p.m.
Yes.
Okay, so do you all agree how the PC is running things? So I'm going to go back to what TC said in the chat a couple podcasts ago. He says, "So now we like Tish." I think that was after the funeral when she gave her eulogy. I think she's improved, and I think that she's also better than the last three people that were the police commissioner. So is there room for improvement? What I don't like about her is that she didn't have the experience to come up through the ranks. And that's always in my heart that I think a police commissioner should have that. Be, each step from police officer all the way up. to police commissioner. They should have hit each rank. But I would give her, I would give her an A minus at this point. So I think she's
Wow.
she's not doing bad.
Right.
You know what sold me? The eulogy. When she showed me the heart of a police officer as the police commissioner when she gave that eulogy. That's what gave me the better grade. That gave me the better grade for her.
Right. And I agree. I think she's doing the best that she can. I'll put it that we've discussed it, ad nauseum, of how politics has just taken over the police department, especially in the upper echelon. It's always been a bit political, but it's completely taken over. So I'll leave it at that. HXC is the question you were talking about. Do either of you regret not speaking up on a matter during your tenure for fear of retribution? Well, that depends on what we're talking about, what the matter is. I was not known to be one with a filter. I said what was on my mind. I spoke
Wait,
clearly.
that still exists today, doesn't it?
I believe it or not, I got a filter nowadays. In my last half of my executive career, I think I learned to have somewhat of a filter, but not completely. But early on, but listen, my thing was I was going to speak my truth. I was going to be honest and open with the executives. I think they appreciated that about me. They knew they were going to hear the truth from me. Don't ask me a question if you don't want the answer. And I'm also going to volunteer my opinion. And I've been at meetings where they're like, Ron, don't say a word today. Been told, like they really don't, this is a meeting where we don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? And then I'd say it anyway.
I think for me, it was more as a young sergeant and maybe even a little bit into each rank. Each time you transition to a new rank, you were less likely to speak up until you felt the dynamics of the crowd. And then as I became an executive, I was the same way. I waited for the opportunity. I listened to what everybody else was saying, and I would call BS if it was BS, or I would tell them it was a good job or no job. Because in the position where I was in, if I didn't tell, I've told many, big chiefs that we're not doing it like that because that's a stupid. And I'll give you a prime example. Chief Jaffe, when Marty Duffy was lowered to shoot Ming the Tiger in Harlem, she wanted to put an airbag underneath Marty. So when you rappel, we don't, or lower, we don't put an airbag. And all we told her was, and it was actually Gene McCarthy told her, hey, we can't put an airbag there. If that tiger jumps out the window, what do we got? We got a tiger that just landed in an airbag and now is running down, running down the avenue. So you have to be able to tell them that it doesn't work. And no, we're not doing that. So there's certain things you got to tell, and you got to stay true to your beliefs.
And now I'll go a little deeper, and I think this is probably where HXC was going. As far as like the discriminatory promotional manners, having firsthand knowledge, both of us having firsthand knowledge, being told that we're not what they're looking for at certain times in our careers, and not being a whistleblower about that. I don't have regrets about it. Listen, to me, that was, you knew the system, and you knew that certain people were going to get priority. And some people will criticize me for that, and say I didn't have the backbone to stand up for myself. But I advocated for myself. But sometimes the system is bigger than you, and but I've had those conversations.
No, I mean that's a personal choice, I think, at that point, because you could say something and it could be career damaging when it wasn't going to even help anywhere. Like I've said in the past, with things with promotions, and the disparity between who should get promoted and who not, and who's given stuff and who, whatever the case may be. That, in my opinion, is where our unions have done absolutely nothing. They've sat idly by and allowed things to happen where there are unfair practices of promotions. And that's unfair for the detectives, to rank the detectives, to sergeants SA, so LSA, lieutenant special assignment, and then captains all the way up through chiefs. So I think the unions should get more involved and not so much worry about collecting your money and doing absolutely nothing with it, but giving it to a candidate that they think is going to win, which is probably not gonna. That's my opinion on that.
All right.
So,
Question for me. Did you ever get nervous at CompStat during table time when they started putting RTRDs up on the screen, hoping that the perp had no exposure to your command? Listen, there's a million things they put up on the screens, and you couldn't get nervous. Listen, in the beginning, I got nervous, but I went to CompStat so often that it didn't faze me. People will tell you, anybody that saw me at CompStat, I went up there. I knew my command. I knew my crime. I knew my plans. I knew my numbers, and I knew my perps. I was success. I always say this. My success came from my ability to build good teams. So I had good teams in place that would have all this information and make sure that we were able to put out the proper deployment plans. I did have say somewhat in my squad commanders. I was fortunate that I had say in my squad commanders as well. And putting a good squad commander in place and having a good squad commander helps you when it comes to things like that. And preparation. When you live your command and you live the day-to-day operations, CompStat is annoyance. CompStat kind of just like, it kind of puts you where you have to study a lot of little minutia and prepare for the 3 or 4 days leading up to CompStat. But if you live it and you know it, it's just more of an inconvenience, but it's a necessary evil.
Can I say one thing? At CompStat, there were times there were times when I did get nervous. You know when it was? When I wasn't following the conversation, and all of a sudden I said to myself, holy crap, if they ask me something right now, I have no idea what they're talking about. That was the only time I get nervous. And that would snap, like if you were tired, because you're up at like 4 a.m. to get down there or whatever. They're feeding you coffee, you're all wired up, and then you get in there, that cold room, and I don't know, I just kind of like, if you're starting to, not feel it, I was like, I gotta pay attention 100%. That was the only time I ever really got nervous down there. I was like, when I thought if they called me on the carpet right now, they might as well put the plastic out because there's gonna be bloodshed. So,
you want to read this one off?
What's that? Stay tuned up says, to both bosses, what's the biggest regret decision that was the turning point in your careers? I mean, I guess for me, it was at the end of my career when I had to decide, I knew that I wasn't going to move up any further because of the people that they were promoting around me. And I was kind of, not stuck in that spot, but I was happy in that spot. But I knew it was a choice that I had to make. So I guess that was the biggest decision. I had to decide whether or not I was going to stay and leave. I mean, I'm happy that I was able to make that decision and leave. And I think it was the right one at that time. But I'll tell people when you do have to make that decision on whether you're going to leave or not. Like I said, have an exit plan. I really didn't have an exit plan at the time. But it all worked out. But I always suggest somebody have an exit plan.
I still don't.
That's it. At least an entrance ramp, right? Or exit ramp.
Yeah. Listen, I've had turning points in my career throughout my career at every rank. I talk about it on my podcast, on the Finest Unfiltered, on my interview. There were decisions that I had made that if I went left instead of right, and sometimes literally, like as a sergeant, literally making a right turn instead of a left turn and going somewhere, my career would have been dramatically different. So I think there's decisions that you make throughout your entire career that are turning points in your career. So it's very difficult to pick one. A
Wait,
little
what about
controversial.
EMGE says, is the job on the level?
Oh yeah, jobs on the level.
Yeah. I don't know what, I've never seen a level like this, but yeah, it's on the level.
Did either of you two executives ever get a CD while working as a supervisor, sergeant, lieutenant, or captain? If so, what were the violations alleged? Well, I'm going to answer half of that question. I didn't get any discipline on this job until I was a captain. And then I got some CDs and total horseshit, White Sox crap from IAB because they did investigations that it was a time on the job where they felt if they did an investigation, they had to find something on you. And I had one investigation that went on for almost a year over a letter that was written. And 30-something people were geoed and they had nothing on me. And then they found some administrative crap about jewelry that my SOL had in his locker that we used for reverse operations at the pawn shop, which every SOL, any SOL out here knows they have. It's just property from the property clerk they give you. It's not accounted for. It's not weighed. It's not itemized. It's just old crap jewelry that you can bring in and say is stolen and see if they'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a one paragraph administrative guide procedure that says that any conversion property has to be listed on the annual inventory report by the commanding officer. And Chief Campisi went to the chief of the property clerk and said, you know, what is this jewelry? He goes, yeah, all the COs get it and the SOLs have it. But it's considered conversion property. Did he put it on his annual inventory report? No. So I got a CD for no annual inventory report. That was just one of them, you know. Another one was failure to report an off-duty, which wasn't reportable because no offense was alleged. An off-duty executive's wife, they were going through a divorce. She asked where the keys were. He said, I don't know. She called an IEB log on him. I got it to call out. I said, are you alleging anything else? Was there any verbal dispute? Nothing. He doesn't know where the keys are, so I'm reporting him. Okay, there's no offense alleged. I'm not even doing it. I told the sergeant, don't even do a 49. There's nothing. There's no allegation of misconduct here. So the sergeant got a CD. I went down. I fought for the sergeant. I fought for myself. And I got a CD. He got a CD. And they changed the patrol guide. So that's two things. I won't get into the rest of the nonsense, but you see where I'm going. You know, they talk about white shirt immunity, and it's true to a point, certain things. But again, until I was a captain, they nitpick on captains too.
I never got a CD in my whole career, so sorry. But that's why as a supervisor, I was never big on issuing CDs. I was always.
Neither was I. Neither was
No,
I.
I know. I'm just saying, but you know, there's other guys that are hammers out there, you know, and maybe because they got them or whatever. But yeah, no, I never got a CD. I was lucky. So
I think we've answered this question in the past.
yeah, I mean, I'll quick two answers. Espo, and I'm gonna have to say Timlin, who was a very likable guy by a lot of people, but I got treated very poorly by him. So
yeah, I'll say the best boss was Espo, also as the highest ranking boss. Worst boss I ever worked for, I think you mentioned Jaffe earlier.
yeah. Oh, just to go back, I did get in trouble though, but I never got a CD. I did get. There were a few allegations and a few things I had to answer, but I just never got a CD accompanied with it. So,
all right, Ulysses is asking a question. I almost don't even want to go here, but I have a question. Since I withdraw my exam from the NYPD due to an NOPD, a notice of proposed disqualification, can corrections ask for the file while it's withdrawal? No.
Wait, did you change your user ID and put that in there?
I'm sticking it in there. No, if you WNOPD, you withdrew prior to a disqualification. You never were disqualified. You withdrew from the process. That's all corrections is allowed to know. From what I remember.
I'll answer it real quick. Depends on who the mayor is and what I can do. What I can do.
All right. Let's go to. You see any others?
Who's that? Is Eric Dim asking a question there?
He's making comments.
All right. Good man. Good man.
I think the NYPD has to do dark scandals to come back from the shock. That would be a federal takeover and then restructuring. I think 5 borough police departments is a step in the right direction.
Oh, that's interesting, right? 5 different PCs, 5 different. Yeah. I think John McCarry will take Staten Island. That's it, right?
Leo Ferpini says you can never prove that the "I wasn't what they were looking for" argument. 100%.
That's true. That's why. Unfortunately, that's why. A lot of people said, because it's a discretionary promotion. There's so many excuses.
There you go.
Zach says it right there. Discretionary promotion citywide offers zero transparency. Absolutely. That's it right in the nutshell. It's hidden. Yep. Jack is spot on. We got to go like this though. Spot on.
And Tom says a good squad commander relationship with the precinct commander is massive help for both. Add narco commander, Tribeca, and untouchable. That's exactly it. You got to be in touch, in communication, and I don't mean that every Tuesday bring everybody. I hated that when the CompStat used to say that. Every Tuesday you should be having an in-person meeting with your narco boss, with your gang boss, with your squad boss. They have a job to do. I'd have a phone call with them. I wouldn't bring them in. I'm not going to bring them in unless I'm putting together a big plan that they're going to be a part of, because I'm really getting my ass kicked. I couldn't stand that answer, and I would always stand up and say, I have phone conferences. I don't bring them in on person.
Listen, I think a good CO should have experience in all of those, and also in SOD. A good, because if you have experience and general knowledge of everything that happens in the city, I think it'll make you a more rounded supervisor. I always said that captain should go through as an ESU captain for a month or 2 just to handle the big jobs, understand the big jobs. Because when you can handle those jobs, you can handle any job, right? Any disaster that happens in your command, and knowing about narcotics and everything else. I mean, it's all. You have to be a well-rounded supervisor, So I mean, it's hard because there's so many different levels in the department and different units, but general knowledge will definitely be helpful.
All right, Lenny 44 is going to get our last question for the night, and then we're going to close this out. Ron and Rob, how many CCRB complaints for each of you? I had one. I had one CCRB with a few different complaints in it. It was unsubstantiated. It was in my first year out of the academy in the 7-0 precinct. And I was an active guy. I had I was a cop only for less than 5 years when you count the academy time, before I made sergeant, and I had 120 plus arrests. So I think I did pretty good.
So I'm looking at my 50A right here. I have 3 complaints, 6 allegations, 0 were substantiated, 2 complaints were withdrawn, 3 were exonerated, and 1 was unsubstantiated. So most of my CCRBs happened when I was a captain or above. Believe it or not,
Yeah, because you get lumped into it. My only lawsuit was when I was a CO to 110. Because they were suing other people, and because I was a CO, I just got lumped into the lawsuit.
Yeah, no, I got involved in the 2020 lawsuit. I got pulled into that thing too. So
yeah.
You've just watched a clip from our live episode. Click the description to watch the full episode. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this.